What is up, friends? How are you doing? I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to another episode of the Player vs. Live podcast. As always, my name is Gabo and I will be your host. This episode is kind of a special one for me, guys. It is the first time that we get to interview a professional gaming streamer. He is known for his accomplishments in Destiny and Escape from Tarkov, and he started his journey as a content creator while he was attending college. Now he has successfully established an entertaining gaming stream and managed to grow an amazing community of people called The Herd. It was super interesting to find out his experience actually growing this community, but also how is he able to create intimate friendships with his audience. Please give a warm welcome to Bambz. Bambz, what do I call you, bro?
Bambz is good.
Bambz is good? Okay.
Yeah, my mom doesn't even call me Brendan anymore. Like, it's one of those things where it's actually funny. It's a funny story, and I want to go back to Ireland and kind of like talk to the guy that blessed me, that gave me this nickname, because I went to school in Ireland. Like, I grew up over there from the age of like 12 to 19. Before that, we were in the Netherlands, but in Ireland, I went to school with 3 other Brendans in my class. And being in a class with 3 other Brendans, they want to give you any kind of a nickname they can, because otherwise you say Brendan and 3 of us go, what? You know what I mean? Like, we're all
Right.
responding to it. So they try to give you any nickname that they can. And I was sitting on a bus one morning. They were talking about Disney movies, like 3 rows behind me. And one of them says Bambi. And Bambi, Brendan, I thought he said my name. So I turned around, I'm like, what? And he just pointed and laughed, right? He just thought it was hilarious. He's like, baby, what's up, dude? So every morning when I get on the bus, he'd be like, hey, baby, what's up? You know? And of course, it was, an Irish lad. So, hey, baby, how's it going? You know what I mean? Like, it's not, what's up? How's it going there, lad? But no, the guy would always just make fun of me for being Bambi. And he was kind of a more popular kid in school. So he would say it like as we were passing each other in the hallway and stuff. He'd be like, hey, baby. And then it started to catch on, like other people would say it. And then it started getting shortened. So people would either call me Bam or they would call me Bambz. And when I first started streaming, none of that was available. Like, I couldn't get Bambz on anything. I couldn't get Bam on anything. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'll take my first name, Brendan. I'll take my nickname, Bambi, and I'll smash them together. And I'll use Brendan Bambi, which was really long. It was like a long name. It was 12 characters or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I used that for a while. That was obviously available on everything because, first of all, most people don't spell their name like Brendan with 2 E's. My parents wanted to be special and spelled it that way. And then Bambi, like nobody's last name is Bambi. So I was good on that.
Bambz came to be.
But that's how Bambz came to be. Everybody would still call me Bam or Bambz.
So now your mom calls you Bambz as well?
Yeah, my mom calls herself Mama Bambz. I asked her what she wanted on the jersey and stuff. She wanted Mama Bambz. That's her role, So
let's backtrack a little bit. See, one of the things about this podcast is that I'm interested in finding out how does gaming influence people's lives, real lives. And I think you're a prime example because you live in a world of gaming every day. So, but tell me a little bit about your background, because I like to find out what games were very influential in their lives and how does the history of gaming start in your life?
So my first like real recollection when I was super young, it was actually my 2 uncles, which they're neither of them, are no longer with us. But one of them had a SNES. When my sister and I, we would go to visit, we would get to play a SNES, and I always thought that was super cool. It was like Super Mario Brothers, like the original, and like my sister and I would play together, and that was really cool. And then a little bit later, we would go up to my uncle's cottage in northern Quebec, and he had a Nintendo 64, and he had Ocarina of Time, and I think that right there, like Ocarina of Time, playing that, in the cottage when it was raining. And we like couldn't go outside. That kind of just like started me down the path, because I fell in love. Anybody that's played that game, I don't know if you played Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time definitely has a special place in my heart. I didn't have a Nintendo 64. I would visit my friend's house, and that's the only time I could get to play it. So it
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
a real treat, you know?
yeah. That was me in Grand Theft Auto. Actually, I was never allowed to own a Grand Theft Auto game because I was too young. But I would always go to my friend's house and play it. I always loved like San Andreas and like all of those older GTA games. I was never allowed to have it, but I always wanted to play it. But yeah, no, the N64 was the biggest thing since sliced bread. Like I loved the Ocarina of Time. And then I would say probably right around the age of 13, like we had just moved to Ireland. That's when I started playing Halo. Halo was a big deal
Halo
to me.
1?
Halo 3. No,
Halo
Halo 3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was kind of late to the party because I was always a PlayStation boy before that.
So you've
So I
owned
really liked it.
consoles like throughout your entire life, and like you've been a practitioner of games, basically.
Yeah.
Like they've been fun for you. It's been a hobby that you've kept. Was it ever a problem for you in the sense like that games got in the way of something?
My parents should be here to answer this question. There were countless times. It's funny, and because my dad and I, we laugh about it now, but there were countless times back in the day where my dad definitely threatened to throw my Xbox out the window. You know, just wanted nothing to do with it. And he would always say things like, imagine if you had played guitar, you know, for that amount of time. Because like it's funny because I look at it and I'm very proud. I'm very proud now. Like I just copied my stats because they were getting rid of the website, the Halo 3 tracker.
Oh my God.
That tracks all of your stats. Yeah, like Bungie is finally killing it off. But I had to record my stats before it went because I was like, there's no way I'm letting this go. I put too much of my life into this, right? So I have here on Halo 3 alone, this is not including like campaign stuff and things like that, but I have 5,242 social games, 2,000 ranked games with 1150s. I have 11,000 custom games. I used to play a lot of custom games. So that's 18,000 games total played on Halo 3.
That's crazy. How many hours do you think you've put in Halo
Oh
3?
my, I don't even want to know. If it's 18,000 games, I don't want to know.
It's funny because like I don't know if you've read the book Outliers.
I don't think I have actually.
It's Malcolm Gladwell basically introduces the idea that if you do something for 10,000 hours, like you become a master at it.
Right. Yeah, I've heard of that phrase actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've definitely done 10,000 hours of video games in your life. But it's crazy
Absolutely.
because, dude, like, video games is one of those things that even if you put 10,000 hours, you might still not be the best, you know?
No, yeah, it's hard. Like,
so it's interesting. What are your parents saying now that you're basically making a living of video games?
yeah, I mean now they're proud because he's a pilot, right? Like he's a kind of more traditional guy. He was a pilot for Air France, which is actually why we moved so much when I was a kid. He'll talk to like some of the younger first officers and stuff. They know what I do, right? When the second he says the word Twitch, like they've heard of Twitch or they watch Twitch even, right? Like they know what that is. Now I think it's a little bit maybe like easier for him to understand and like be proud of it. But yeah, cool. Back then, like he wanted to kill my console. Like he just wanted to throw it out a window. Because he said like he was like, yeah, if you put all those hours in a guitar, you know, you'd be the next Carlos Santana. Or if you put all of those hours into, you know, anything, like he would always make comparisons.
That's crazy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like it's what you're passionate about, and gaming is always something that I was really passionate about, and something I always loved. And whether I was making a living at it or not, I mean, it didn't start out with that way. Obviously,
right.
It started out as a hobby.
You also had other passions. You also had a career as a professional DJ.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I started out doing just like weddings, like anybody does, just to try to get your name out there and like get some practice. And weddings were going really well. So then I started making friends with club producers and or club promoters, sorry, and like other DJs that were producers. And kind of one thing led to another, and then started playing some gigs in Ireland. They would test you out, you know, as like an opener. And then eventually you get to know the owner and stuff, and they like you, and then they start bringing you in and giving you like almost like a residency. That
tells me two things about you. One is that you actually enjoyed music a lot in your life, like that.
Yeah.
That you were really into it as a composer, and two, that you also had this kind of networking side of you that, like, I'm an introverted guy. I don't necessarily like to go out clubbing or things like that. For somebody that wants to be a DJ, you have to have this ability to navigate social situations in very well.
Absolutely. I definitely think so. I definitely have some of that. Like I made some friends just here recently, just by like a simple wave. I was sitting in my car and this guy pulls in next to us with this really nice Subaru. I'm a big car guy.
Yeah.
And I just like gave him like a little wave. He got out of his car, started talking to me about his car. We get to talking. He's the CEO of a tuning company. He's like, hey, come over to the shop. It's like 3 minutes up the road. We drive up the road. We meet all the people that work there. Like now we're all friends. Like it's cool. Like it's crazy
awesome.
how like the littlest, all it takes is a little wave and a smile, man. And like,
or if you
world.
stayed home that day, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Or if I
like,
hadn't gone that day, yeah, you never know. It's
crazy.
just crazy things with the people you meet.
Do you feel in some way that aspect of you, this very social and kind of entertaining aspect of it, helped you establish a Twitch channel?
I think so, because at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to be. Is you're trying to be entertaining on Twitch, and you're trying to engage, conversation and have relationships with people. That helped me a lot. And I went to university I started off, I did 1 year of computer science and software engineering. So in that first year, we learned, Java, C++, C#, Python, like all of these computing languages. And then I transferred into business after that, and I did business marketing. So both of those things I now use, obviously, with my career in, marketing myself, branding. Coding is really good for like Twitch bots, things for chat and little mini games and stuff like that I can create for people to be able to play. And so I really love that too. And I never finished my degree.
You became too popular in Twitch before you finished?
I'm a filthy dropout. Well, I think I had like a year and like 2 semesters left. And I came home. Things were starting to like take off with Twitch. Not crazy, but I had gained something like 1,000 followers in like just a couple of short weeks or something like that. Like the numbers were starting to look good. Like I was starting to gain some traction. And I said to her, I was like, I feel like this is something I need to pursue now because it's kind of time sensitive. If I push it off and I wait, who knows what the landscape is going to look like in a year and a half, 2 years. And I'm thanking God right now that I did go for it, because I mean, if you look at Twitch now, it's so saturated.
Oof, like it's really hard.
Like the ability to gain any kind of exposure now, like back then, it was still kind of hard to stream. It still had like a barrier to entry. You weren't able to like stream off your Xbox as easily, you know what I mean, and do all these crazy things that you can do now. So getting into it was a little bit tougher. And I feel like I kind of lucked out that I didn't miss the wave. I was on the tail end of the wave. I wish I'd have been a little bit earlier, maybe. I mean, you can't change that. I'm glad that I at least caught the wave and didn't miss it. You know what I mean? Because I very easily could have.
I look at my Twitch account. I did it the other day. I was like, account age. There's a command, right? 8 years and 9 months or something. It's like, and I'm like, oh my God, I've been on Twitch for 9 years. This is crazy. What would it have been if I actually started back then? The situation that you were going through. I think of you as a person that is really talented and that is very entertaining, right? You've also had the opportunity to engage in that behavior like early on when it was a possibility for you. You have one of those jobs though, man. It's a dream job. And you enjoy yourself. It looks very fun. But to me, it's actually one of the hardest jobs. Like being a creator is one of the hardest jobs. I was talking to my friend the other day who's a business consultant. I was like, dude, how many percentage of jobs do you think are boring? And he's like, 0.0001% of jobs are not boring. Probably you have to make those yourself. So I think gaming streamer, I think it fits into that 0.001%. And I think you have to be a very intelligent person, and like you have to think critically to actually grow your channel.
Right.
So I want to get to that. Tell me a little bit about how Twitch started for you.
I created an account 7 years ago. So my account age is 7 years, but I've only been streaming for 5 years. So for about 2 years there, I wanted to do it, thought about it, didn't do it. Finally, just one day, started streaming because I was doing a lot of help with people on Destiny. I would help people go flawless. I was a good, above average, let's say, player. So I would help people go flawless. And I was like, oh, I might as well start streaming that. So
can you explain that a little bit? Go flawless.
Yeah, I can explain that. So So going flawless is something that is tough for a lot of people because it's PvP based. You're playing against other players. So you have to be a certain skill level, let's say, to do it, because you have to win 7 games in a row. The way it used to go, it would match people at the same number of wins. So if you're at 1 win, you would match against other players that had 1 win on their card. You had to get 7 wins on this card.
Okay, so
If you had
it's
2 wins,
exponentially harder.
so when you get to your flawless game, because it's what it's called, getting all 7, you get to your flawless game, you're playing against other people that have 6 wins. So you're playing against some pretty good players. And it definitely was tough for a lot of people. But in Destiny 1, I helped 1,000 people go flawless. My 1,000th flawless is still something that I'll never forget. And it'll always be dear to me because it was with a mod of mine who no longer is with us. He actually passed away. Yeah, he passed away of a heart attack. And he was a huge part of my community, like just big father figure for a lot of us, like a lot of people that maybe grew up not having a dad, because he was an older guy. He was in his 50s. Yeah, he just was an amazing guy, and it hurt to lose him, but he lives on for sure in all of our memories. Like we still have commands and stuff for him and chat, and
that's nice, man.
He was an awesome dude. But he was my 1,000th in Destiny 1. He was like the one guy that I wanted to like make sure we got for like the number 1,000.
It's amazing to me that you are able to create these relationships with somebody through this platform, right? And I think that's one of the things that that is very interesting about it and unique about Twitch, is that it somehow allows you to maybe not necessarily play with people, but actually connect to them on a deeper level. And that's an inspiring story, dude. That's an inspiring story for like somebody that's trying to create a community, like it's really cool.
No, I mean the herd really is my family. Like we talk about it all the time, and like people who are in it, they kind of get it. But from the outside, yeah, like you said, it might be a little weird to think about having like that kind of an intimate relationship with someone you've technically never met, right? Like you've never met them in person, but yet I've known some of these guys for like 4 or 5 years. I feel like I know them better than I've known just about anybody. They're definitely, my close friends
Well, you
and
guys
family.
have shared like these moments of like triumph, like this moment, this emotional moments that like you both have very a powerful connection to it. So
exactly,
it's cool. Yeah. So I mean, tell me a little bit about the herd. One of the things that struck me when I found you was when you said, I love the herd. Like I love my community. I would have dinner with any single one of them, right? That's what you said. Yeah. And I was like, no, this guy's kidding. But it's actually like a very awesome community.
Yeah.
I've hang around your Discord. I follow some of the people that are interesting in the community, and it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
How did you?
I mean it. I would definitely do that. Yeah.
How did you manage to build that?
I just lucked out. Honestly, I got really lucky, and that's what I always tell people, because I always get asked all the time. They're like, how do you build a community? Like, how do you start? Where do you? The tough thing is that it's going to take time. There's no like fast track, like easy way to do it. And the way I always explain it to people too is, let's say you stream for a day. If you can gain one person that day that has the same mentality, they're going to be a good attribute, like a positive member of your community, that's a good day. If you gain one, people are out here looking at people, like their numbers, and that's not even it at all. It's that you want to accumulate, you want to surround yourself with as many awesome people as possible.
Yeah.
You can gain one, like I always use like one of my mods or somebody as an example. But if I can gain another, let's say Lightfall, for example, you've seen Robbie in my chat. If I can gain another Robbie, if I can gain one person like him a day, that's a good day. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about how many subs we had on the day, what our viewer count was. I don't care about any of that shit. If we gain one person that has that right mentality, that is the same, to his core, to her core, like just awesome person that we want to spend time with, that's a great day to me.
That's awesome. You're somebody that's taken part of the success of Twitch. There's a lot of people out there that are kind of looking to you guys and saying like, that's what I want. That's where I want to be.
Right.
How do you become part of like your community, let's say? It's not like you have an application being, are you awesome?
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all on energy. Like you kind of gauge somebody's energy. Like you talk to them a little bit, you get to hear a little bit about them. They talk about themselves. And you can kind of gauge early on whether somebody is like a good fit.
This is interesting. How do you yourself do that in a situation where you're literally just looking at chat?
It definitely took some working on, and it took some like learning, because even just on how people talk via text, how they chat, and how their use of like emotes, there's a lot of personality. There's literally a spectrum. Like I'm thinking about it now, even like you can tell so much just by how somebody is and their responses to things and how they perceive certain things, let's say. It really does show a lot of your personal character and your mindset. But another thing too is that I play with my community a lot, which is how I'm able to really, get to know everybody a lot better. Because like you said, it's still quite hard over text. But on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I do a lot of just games with my viewers, games with people in chat. And through that, I've gotten to know everybody obviously way better on a level that I never would have.
Let me put you in a situation, okay?
Okay.
What if you're like starting to play with this kind of new person in your chat? He's not necessarily up to like the level of standard of a person that you would necessarily want to be around your community. How do you deal with that?
So I mean, if it's a really negative, like we don't tolerate any racism or anything like that. Like if there's ever anything like that, that's a straight, you're gone.
Like ban him.
You get destroyed. We've had people come in who I can tell that they want to be a better person. Maybe right now, like they're going through some stuff and they're kind of struggling a little bit. The herd is such a force of positive, and it's such a great community that's just supporting no matter whatever it is you're going through. We can help make that better. I definitely strongly believe that you're obviously raised by your parents until the age of about 12, 13, whatever, but then after that it's your peers. Who you're surrounded with kind of makes you the person that you are. The person can definitely change for the better. Like I like giving people the benefit of the doubt and letting let's say the herd in the community kind of lead by example, and letting them see what it's like to be a good person, and trying to help them achieve that, because I think everybody is capable of it. They just have to want it. They have to want to be a better person, right? And then anything's possible.
And the interesting thing about it is that actually gives a value to the people who are in the community, right? Because like one of the things that I find hard is like, I want to create a community that has positive aspirations and things like that, but sometimes people just come in and say like, what am I gaining from this?
Right.
And when you come into a community like yours, you can definitely see that what you're gaining is actually being around these people that are really cool and really interesting.
And giveaways.
And giveaways.
Those come later too. Like it's hard to do that when you're just starting out. So that's not really feasible. But
and giveaways. I like how it went from something really, really deep to something completely superficial.
It's
really quick.
That's literally how we are. Like we'll be having this beautiful, like heartwarming moment, and then someone will say something and it takes a whole different turn. You know what I mean? The other night, this really good song came on Spotify, and I ended up just like cranking the music and like having like 2 tabs of Spotify because I didn't have my decks. Like I just ended up using Spotify and DJing. I did DJ like a 30 minutes to like an hour set using nothing but Spotify, and we just like had the lights all going crazy and had a little dance party for like an hour. Like
but that kind of improvisational, impromptu entertainment in itself is valuable, just because it's this only happens one time. You'll never get to see it if you weren't there.
Right.
Finding new ways to interact with your chat, just keeping the entertainment up. I think that's one of the hardest things about Twitch, that it's one of those things that you think that it's easy because you see other people do it. You go ahead and do it yourself and you're like all stressed out.
I mean, you see it even in the big YouTubers, because big YouTubers, and so my story too is that I created a Twitch and I created a YouTube at the same time, because I thought that YouTube was going to be my thing. I always loved editing videos, but Twitch, I just love that live interaction. I love talking to chat. I love getting to know everybody. Like doing that via comments just never felt as clean. Like it's just a little more bulky, and like, so I like chat better for that reason. The funny thing was like the big YouTubers, they come over to Twitch and they try streaming. Even Logan Paul and like these guys, these huge YouTubers try streaming because they can't go, yo, what's going on, guys? Cut. Yo, now they can't keep that energy. You know what I mean? Like you can't feasibly keep that going for 6 hours. That's not possible. Like nobody in the world can do that for 6 hours. You just can't. And because you can't cut on Twitch, it's all live, definitely a lot harder. You don't realize it until you try it. And then you're like, whoa, keeping a chat entertained for 6 hours or 8 hours or 10, 12, whatever, crazy.
Yeah, you have to be creative. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to get to. It's like you have
yeah,
it's a very much a creative job because there's nothing really out there that you really can say like here's how you train to become a professional gaming streamer. It's very
right,
much intuitive. People have the skills from live. Now you're streaming Escape from Tarkov, right? And
right.
Escape from Tarkov is one of those games that I fell in love with as well. For anybody who doesn't know, right? How would you describe
Right.
it? The devs called it a battle simulator in a hazardous environment, but I think
Yeah,
it's unique in the sense that it's an FPS, it's a first person shooter
it is.
with
Yeah,
a lot of RPG role playing mechanics. Like you have
a
levels,
lot.
you play
Yeah,
a character, you have an inventory, these things, and these make dying incredibly punishing, right?
yeah, exactly. It's a hardcore looter shooter simulator, and it's crazy. It's so cool. I think I first like got my taste, and if anybody's like listening to this that has ever played the Division, if you play the Division, you know the Dark Zone is. You know it's load up with your best loadout that you can get. You go in, you're playing against players, you're playing against AI computer characters, and you're trying to just get as much loot as physically possible and get out. That's all you want to do. You want to fill your backpack and get out with as much high tier loot as you can. Obviously, it's crazy because they took that concept and then crossed it with a military sim along the lines of like Arma, where you get shot in the arm, your aim is really shaky, you get shot in the leg, you can't run, you have to do field surgery to like patch it, and like things
Yeah,
like that.
it's amazing.
It's
It's
crazy.
hyper realistic.
Yeah, hyper realistic is a good way of putting it.
Why did you fall in love with the game though? Like what about it made it so that you were like
Yeah,
playing it, you were hooked on it?
it's funny actually you would ask that, because I was playing a lot of Destiny, and I switched from Destiny over to COD, and I was playing COD for about 3 months. um it was before Warzone came out. One of my good friends and VIPs in my chat, Eric, he gifted me Tarkov because all of my buddies from chat, like all of us, some of my mods and like some of my friends from chat were playing Tarkov, and he was like, "Oh, you should go play with them." I watched them play it, and I was like, I don't really know if it's for me. It looks really slow, like you know what I mean. I was pooping on it at the time, and I was like, I don't really think it's my kind of game. Like, I don't think I'm gonna like it. So then I played once with them. One night they just had me and they took me on some loot runs. They showed me some stuff, right? And I was so overwhelmed. There's just so
Yeah.
much information. Like it's such a big game that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like what the and I hadn't felt that. I hadn't felt overwhelmed by a game in a long time. And I hadn't been challenged. I feel like I hadn't been challenged by a game in a long time. So Tarkov came along and challenged me. And it was funny because after like I played it the first night, I was like, okay, yeah, like it's pretty cool. So like I told them this was like a Tuesday. I was like, yo, next Tuesday we should play again. And then I was still grinding on my camos and stuff on COD. So I was basically just playing for the fun at that point. And the following Tuesday, I hopped on and played. I found out that my insurance, because you could insure your gear, your insurance only lasts 3 days.
Right.
So all the gear that I'd insured, it went to waste because I didn't hop on in those 3 days, and that made me mad. And ever since then, I've just been like hooked. I never go like a single day without like checking my stuff. It was that one experience of like losing all of my things that I was like, yeah, no, that's not happening again. Even on my day off, like
Yeah.
yesterday, I hopped on and just like redeemed all my insurance.
That was one of the ways that I got addicted to the game as well. Is not even playing the game, but just being outside in the inventory,
Yeah,
selling
like hideout
stuff.
management. Yeah, yeah,
The economy of the game is actually very interesting to me, at least, because it actually reflects like stock values on bitcoins, right? So
it
like
does. Yeah, it does.
when bitcoins were 150K or like 147K, I was like hoarding all of them.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
as soon
yeah.
as they hit 200K, I sold them, but I didn't know that Bitcoin was gonna go up to 400K.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was sitting at like 520, I think, in game, like 520,000 rubles. But I mean, in real life, they were sitting at like what, $40,000 or something crazy.
No. I actually I bought like $60 worth of Bitcoin like in February, which turned
Oh
into
yeah,
like $300. But I was like, shit, I wish I bought like 1,000 now.
yeah, exactly. So my buddy, and I'm sure he's probably kicking himself right now, but he had 19, or no, he had 20. So he had 20 full Bitcoin, and he cashed in 19 of them when it hit 20K.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he cashed in 19 of them, and he held on to one just to see if it got crazy, right? Like just to see how crazy it got. He just wanted to have a horse in the race. He had already made his money, but he just kept one Bitcoin just because he wanted to have a horse in the race. And yeah, I don't know what he did with the last one. I don't know if he sold it when it hit 40, but I'm sure he's probably kicking himself a little bit that he didn't
Yeah.
like hold on to the 19, cash those in at the 40, you know.
Well, I did
But
the same thing, but with Tarkov bitcoins, you know.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, and that's what's cool is you can kind of do that with this game. Like this game has a very natural growth to it, and especially like you said, because you're selling things on the economy on the market. You're selling those to actual players.
Mm.
Like that's an interaction. Like, and because my name's always taken. Bambz is always taken on every platform I ever try to get on. So my name on Tarkov is Bambz on Twitch. I would say like 50% of my chat are there because either I hit them or like I shot them in the head or they shot me in the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You
Yeah,
shot me in
some
the
kind of
head.
exactly some kind of an altercation that happened. Like we played each other and then now we're friends. You know, like
That's how definitely you can meet people on Twitch. But one of the aspects of Tarkov that I want to talk about is, do you think Tarkov in some way has helped you outside of the game? Like we were talking a little bit about it when we're talking about the skills that you could kind of inherit some or understand a little bit of how this kind of like the market, a stock market works, just because you understand a little bit of the economy of Tarkov. But do
yeah.
you think in any other way, like you've gained something from it?
I would say absolutely. The game, all of the guns in real life or all the guns in the game, sorry, are based on guns in real life. So
True.
they like all the attachments, all the parts, everything. And recently I moved to Alberta, it's just like Western Canada, and out here, like my girlfriend's brother-in-law, and all of his friends, they're all military, so they all do like competition shooting where it's like pistol, shotgun, and rifle. Like it's 3 gun. And now that I'm out here and I'm in a environment where I could get into that, I would love to. And now I actually know like what the parts are, and I know what the
Yeah.
calibers are, and I kind of understand more. Like the game's taught me a lot of like gun knowledge.
Yeah,
And
the game teaches you a lot about the technicalities of each
right,
specific model.
yeah,
What attachments would you put on specific guns? Because of its hyper realism, you can assemble guns like amazing guns that could
yeah.
actually be assembled in real life, which is awesome.
Absolutely. I know a lot of people that have the guns in game that they own in real life. But then you can also do stupid things like put 9 flashlights on an SMG. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right. Which is technically realistically
Yeah, you can
possible.
do that in real life too. Yeah, exactly. The game doesn't have one set way to have fun. There are so many different play styles and so many different ways that work in
Oh
this
yeah.
game. And like some people like to, run in guns blazing, and other people like to lay back and kind of take their time and be that like sniper on the hill. Both play styles have a lot of success.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can make
exactly.
any play style that you want work. Yeah, I like that about the game. It's very flexible in that sense. It doesn't teach you, it doesn't say you should play this way, right?
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty, for example. Like I feel like that game is not necessarily a game that uh rewards campers a lot, like you
Yeah,
want to get that high kill game. You want to be action packed, but in Tarkov, even when you're camping, it's action packed because you're scared shitless.
yeah, exactly. You're like, I'm gonna die at any second. Yeah, I'm gonna die from another sniper that I
Yeah.
don't see. Yeah.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I've been scare jumped from Tarkov more than
Oh,
any other game in my life.
it's a horror game because you're running through, or you're laying down somewhere and you think you're safe, and then out of nowhere, just you're dead.
Because I am super interested in like how these games can actually influence your real life. Like I think one of the takeaways I see from Tarkov is that because of its hyper realism, puts you in high stress situations, right? If you're
Mhm.
cornered in the middle of dorms and there's a group of players out there, you're stressed, So
Yeah,
you have to
yeah,
navigate the situation in a way that you come out on top. To be calm, you have to kind of breathe, you have to think through, you have to strategize. And I think that's one
mhm.
of those things that happens in life a lot.
Absolutely.
You can be in the situation where you're in high stress and you don't know what to do. The game teaches, think about, where's the exit? Is there an
Yeah,
exit? Maybe you can do a flank over here,
yeah.
but you
You might
do
not
it.
get out in one piece, but you'll get out. At the end of the day, when you're playing any game, and it's not just Tarkov, but Tarkov
Hmm.
is definitely Tarkov is a heightened one. You're just problem solving. That's all you're doing all
Hmm.
day. You're just you're presented with a situation and you're told get out of that. You're yours to figure out. You'll either succeed and you'll make it out, or you will fall short and you'll die. But then you'll learn from that.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I always tell like my chat too is that losing is learning, winning is teaching. So when you come out of a situation and you come out on top, that person that died to you, that bettered them, they just learned from what you did to them. And if you lost, then you're learning from the other guy. The other guy is teaching you what to do better next time, or what to do different, or like how to alter your strategy. You're just playing chess with guns. When you think about it that way, that's how I come into all of my fights. All of my fights I come into it looking at it from a top-down perspective. Instead of being stuck in that first-person perspective that we're all forced into, if you look at every fight or every engagement, not even just in Tarkov, but in general, from a top down, your strategy is going to go from a 4 to an 11.
Yeah, agreed.
Because your awareness, map awareness, your ideas about flanks, and like all of these things will just come so much more naturally when you're looking at everything from a top down. Because it's kind of like trying to make a play on a rook with a queen. Set yourself up, and you got to move in a certain way to make that happen, that they don't have a line of sight, but you do have a line of sight. And you know what I mean? And it's just
a lot is going through your mind. You're thinking through a lot of possibilities, outcomes, and that's one of the things about the gaming mind. It's constantly strategizing. Some people are incredibly good at, and you being one of them, I think you're incredibly talented at actually problem solving in game and having this game sense, which is why I think you're kind of entertaining, right? Like it's fun to watch you. This kind of intelligence is not something that somebody's gonna discover you in school, for example. Oh, dude, this guy is a brilliant gamer. Like,
you have the aptitude to be a Twitch streamer. Congratulations.
Back to what you said a little bit also about your motto of gaming, which is like winning is teaching, losing is learning. I think that's actually pretty cool and deep, because one of the hardest things I had with Tarkov was keeping my cool.
And losing.
I lose it, man. I'm like, fuck. I shot that guy 20 times in the face.
Yeah. Oh, then that's a whole other kettle of fish. That's called getting Tarkov. You know what I mean? That's like that's the game literally just shitting on you and saying like, no, now is your time to die. Like,
which I feel is another analogy for life.
Yeah, it's true, and that's why I call it Mother Tarkov, because at the end of the day, Mother Tarkov takes it all away. Like, wipe comes. It doesn't matter if you had 1 million rubles or if you had 100 million rubles. And if I die, I'm just donating loot.
It doesn't affect you anymore, though.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like when I die, I think back to like what I could have done better, or like how I could have played it smarter. And sometimes it's not up to me. Sometimes I did the best that I could in the situation that I was in.
But it's interesting how like gaming can make us go through this entire emotions, a spectrum of emotions.
You're so invested, right? Because it's your gear. You're like, no.
That's why the punishing death mechanic is one of the most interesting aspects of this game.
My experience of early Tarkov was so bad.
Like, embrace the suck.
Yeah, exactly. Embrace the suck and just know that you're gonna die to the lowest level of AI. The AI that like can't even tie its shoe is gonna kill you. Yeah. You're just not gonna be able to do anything.
It reminds me of other things that are really, really hard that you kind of need to just get your ass whooped to get better at. For example, like martial art. If you go and do jiu-jitsu as a white belt, you're gonna get destroyed every day that you go there. You're not
handed to you. Yeah.
The game has all of these things built into it, which is why I think I enjoyed so much.
Yeah. No, for me, it was the challenge. Like you said, the fact that when you first start, you're not going to be good. No one ever is good when they first start. Even if you're a good player, if you're a good FPS player, it doesn't matter. When you first start out, you're not good at this game. And that challenge is what made me, I think, stick to it, want to push myself to get better. Because I always liked being challenged, whether it was like in sports or, in life. Like I like overcoming difficult things. And I loved going to the gym and like all that kind of stuff.
I wanna kind of understand a little bit. You told me a little bit about this, your family. We lived in a generation of parents who didn't understand anything about gaming, right? We're gonna get to a point where, you have the Sigmas of the world, right? That now she's like a mother, but she's also a streamer, and she's like a tournament organizer. I can imagine her trying to explain what she does to other moms in the school.
Yeah.
It's just
kind of tough.
It's just weird,
Yeah.
How do you think the world in general has respond to your career? Do they understand what you do?
So, yeah, it's funny you ask that, because it's a conversation I get to have a lot, and a lot of people. I think now it's kind of becoming more and more accepted. But when I was like a year into it, or like 2 years, let's say, even after I got partnered with Twitch, either would say there was one of two reactions. Always people would ask you, like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. Like that would be my intro to the conversation. Like this is going to be a fun conversation, and it's going to leave you saying one of two things. You're either going to be like, wow, that's really awesome, good for you. Either you've never heard of that and now they have, or they're like, oh, I've heard of that before and that's awesome. Like I don't know many people that have made it. Congratulations. Or they tell me to go back to school and get a real job. That's how the conversation ends every time. They're either really, like, oh, that's sick, or they're, no, you should do something actual traditional. I think it's becoming more and more accepted. So I'm hearing more and more of the first response and not the latter response. Every now and then you still get, people that, like you said, it's just a different generation where there was no gaming, 100 years ago. It wasn't like a career 100 years ago. And it's hard for them to like get their head around somebody doing this for a living. And it's cool that getting more and more accepted. Like when I met those guys are mechanics. They work on Subarus for a living. They own a tuning shop here in Edmonton. When I said like, oh, I stream, they're like, oh, no way. They've heard of it, at least kind of have an idea of what it is. They're from a completely separate environment, from a whole different realm, and yet they've still heard of it. But I mean, Twitch has also done a really good job of that. Like even back when I got partnered in like 2016, they had more registered viewers, more paid subscribers on Twitch than cable TV had viewers. At that time, I don't know what the number was exactly, but it was crazy. It was hard to like put that into perspective. Like that's a lot of people, you know what I mean? And like, it's cool to know that they're out there. It's cool to know that, yeah, it may be hard starting out, but the viewership is there. They just have to find you is all it takes. And that was one thing that I learned early on too. And this can be like my tidbit of wisdom, if anything, to anybody that wants to start streaming. Just know that at the end of the day, well, for one, people are people, not numbers. For two, people are going to watch you for you. There's a million streamers out there, but just stay true to who you are, stay true to yourself, and people will see that and they will gravitate towards that. Like there was another streamer that told me about this a long time ago, and I learned a lot from them. For example, when Ninja gets off and he stops streaming, it's not like Shroud gains 30,000 viewers. When Ninja gets off, chances are 80% of his community, they're not watching Twitch anymore. Their streamer is not streaming anymore. They're not on the platform. There would still be some obviously that go off and bounce around, watch other streamers, but they gravitate towards him. They want to watch him. When he's not there, they're not there. You have to just kind of accept that, and then accept that it's completely whimsical. I could hit start streaming in 30 minutes from now and nobody shows up. I told everybody I'm going to be the same person. I'm going to put on the same show, whether I have, 5 people in chat, 50 people, 500, 5,000, doesn't matter. I'm going to do the same stuff. I'm going to have the same good time. That's one of the hardest things to get that mentality.
Yes.
But I kind of like drove it into myself early on that, hey, it doesn't matter. We're having a good time, even if it's just for that one person, like that one person is having a good time. That one person's going to smile. We're going to make sure that they have a good day. If you can get to that point, you're laughing. I think that's what's great about the herd is it's infectious. So I like whenever you give somebody a sub, it's the Halo 3 infected.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you were talking about there is being strong mentally. It's very easy to feel validated, especially when you like just starting. Let's say one day you get 10 viewers. You're like, oh, I'm awesome. I'm the best, dude. Like, I'm going to be the next Shroud.
Yeah, Ninja, here I come.
And then the next day is like one viewer, but it's like this guy that you hang out with. Because there's no the other 9, you almost feel like, this isn't what I wanted. So like it can definitely start affecting your mentality, right? The psychology behind like when you stream and you see a lot of viewers and you feel people want me here, you feel validated. And it's interesting. And I think like you said, one of the hardest things is have that mental perseverance. I'm strong here. I don't need those numbers out there. I'm just gonna be my best and do my best job regardless. Super hard, dude. Super hard. I mean, I've gone through it, and it's like, and I myself don't necessarily think I do the best job of doing that,
The things you can do to make it easier on yourself. Obviously, you can hide your viewer count, like hide your numbers while you're streaming. That helps a lot. Because then your only real gauge is chat. Seeing people talk is the only real time that you're like, oh, there's a lot of people here. When chat's like really going crazy, it's hard. It is, like I said, I know what you mean. Like where the next day you're expecting it to just keep going and continuing that growth. And then you don't get that. Well, when I switched games, when I went from being a Destiny player to being, on COD to then being on Tarkov, like I've been slowly over, like I started playing Tarkov in February. Over the past year, I've slowly started to like add to our, community, these Tarkov players. Yeah, exactly. But we lost, a ton. We lost a lot of Destiny players,
Destiny fans, right?
Yeah, like that were the mainstay of our community. Just because they aren't as interested in the game. Like they will still stop by from time to time and say hi, but they're not going to be everyday viewers because they don't like Tarkov. They don't play Tarkov, or they don't really care about it, so they're not going to be regulars anymore.
And the important thing here is like that doesn't change the way that you do your job.
Right. Like I said, you put on the same show, whether there's 550, 500, you're still you, and you still are trying to just, make the world a better place, make somebody's day, make somebody smile. I honestly, I knew, and like my community, I've always tried to promote people to be able to share, like it's a healthy environment. We managed to push out all of the toxicity that's ever come our way. And the biggest thing I always told people is, you're going through something, like, yeah, we want to celebrate the high points. Like when you're having an awesome day and you're doing something really killer, absolutely, we want to celebrate with you. But the adverse is also true. It's like, if you're having a really shitty day, like if you're having a terrible day, if you just got some terrible news, I want my community to be a place where you can come in and you can share that information and know that you're going to get met with nothing but love. You're going to get nothing but support. You're maybe going to get hit by somebody. Somebody's going to DM you that's either gone through the same thing, right? Like we have a serious talk channel in our Discord where, yeah, you can, voice those kinds of things, but you might either get a response there or get a response privately from somebody else that's maybe gone through the same thing and get some advice. But we have like all kinds of like professionals. We have like RNs and doctors and like psychiatrists and nurse practitioners even that are a part of our community that have been able to actually help people that are,
that's gorgeous, like licensed. Dude. That's beautiful.
Yeah, licensed to do so. But I'll tell you a little story. My proudest moment, and when I knew that I was on the right track, I always wanted that. I always wanted my community to be a place, like I said, where people were comfortable to share, felt like they were at home, felt like we were all family. You can talk to us about anything. And this guy found out that his mom had cancer. He was pretty young at the time, like 15, 16. And he didn't want to talk to his friends about it, at school. Didn't want to talk to his parents about it because, of course, it's just, that stigmatism of talking to your parents. So instead, he found resolve talking about it with us. Like he felt confident enough to come into my chat, and my chat was the first place he ever openly spoke about it because he felt comfortable. He felt confident knowing that he was not going to get met with any kind of, reaction but love and nothing but respect, and that people were going to give him their time and take the time to really, just give him any support that he needed in that moment. To me, as somebody, that's all I could ever ask for. That is like the moment when I knew, I was like, okay, this is actually real. Like this is my goal, my dream of what I wanted to create and what I wanted to build as a community is fulfilled. Like it's succeeding. Like it's actually working. Said in our Discord, in our series talk, people use it almost daily. There's somebody, that is going through something, because that's the thing about life, is always going to throw you curveballs no matter what. If we can help each other through those, then we're indestructible. Nothing can stop us, because if we can get through it and we can all take care of each other at our low points, then the high points are just easy. You know what I mean? Like celebrating is easy. It's getting through the lows that are tough. So
yeah, no, that's an amazing story, man. That's an amazing story. I think
I'm very proud of that.
I think well, that says something about your character, right? About the things that you value. It's very interesting to me because these are relationships that you have formed online, right? And the way that people interact in this online world is just different than how people interact in the real world. If I'm going through a rough time, I might not necessarily want to share it with the people I'm like super close to. I want to have a harder time dealing with it if like my best friend reacts poorly to something. having the opportunity where there's a space where people just can be positive influence and give you positive comments is really interesting, like from a psychological point of view, as like a social interaction, right? It's great. It's fantastic. Like you're saying, it can really help people.
Exactly. Which is why, again, I like to, if at all possible, give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, because people come in and maybe it's not their best day. Maybe they're having a rough day. You know, we can help with that. We can make it better. We can hopefully change that.
Yeah, to me, it's a little bit amazing as well that this is happening, like just because of technology. Like we live in a world where technology has come to like such a level that we can actually have this intimacy in like something like a Twitch community. It's awesome.
Right.
Bambz, you have done an awesome community, man.
I'm blessed. I tell them every day, like I love those guys. I really do. Like I can't wait till COVID is done, because we want to do like a herd con. Yeah, get everybody together. Toyed with the idea. I wanted to do one in 2020, and of course that got destroyed because of the world that we live in right now. But yeah, we've still, actually, it's funny, like 2020 has been a rough year, but I kind of gave a little speech to that like at the end of like New Year, and yeah, like we still had an awesome time. You know what I mean? We made the best of it, even though it wasn't ideal.
Thank you for being here, man. It's just so cool having you. So cool having you. And I'm pretty excited to share this with the herd. That I hope they enjoy it. And I should definitely be part of your community as much as I can. And I will be in touch with you to become a little bit more active.
No, for sure. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you in chat. It's been a pleasure. I feel like I want to, get to know a little bit more about you. We'll have to play some games sometime, since I know you.
I would love to.
What's your name on Tarkov, actually?
Planet Gabo. But I'm a baby right now because I'm on a Tarkov hiatus. Remember when we were talking about it being super stressful?
Yeah. I just added you there. So whenever you feel like coming out of hiatus, let me know.
It sounds good, Bambz. I appreciate you, man. And do you want to give some, for anybody who doesn't know you, do you want to throw in some of your plugs?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter. It's just Bambz on Twitch, because once again, Bambz was taken on everything. So it's just BAMBZ on Twitch. And then the same for Instagram, which I'm trying to work on getting everything like trademarked and copyrighted, because apparently once I do that, I'll be able to present that to Twitter and Instagram, and they can give me, because the handle hasn't been used. Like it's been inactive. I think the one on Twitter, 11 years, like I feel it's pretty safe to say that whoever this Jane lady is, she's probably not going to use that Twitter account.
Jane, who are you? In Twitch is just Bambz, right?
Yeah, just Bambz. Actually, if you just Google BAMBZ or BAMBZ, you'll find all of my stuff. It's all there. I take up the entire first page.
Awesome. That's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
I don't know how we swung that.
Bambz has been awesome, man. I had an awesome time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.